Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to a video that I was going to do during last year's Wugazi because it's a project that absorbed a lot of my life the year that it came out, but instead decided to shelve it and bring it up for this year. And we're going to be staying in the 2010s when it comes to the Wu-Tang timeline. We're actually going to be going a year earlier than the Man with the Iron Fist to 2011. I'm in college. I'm already doing a deep dive on the Wu-Tang solo and side project discography when a mashup album drops that brings together two worlds of aggression from the 90s that stood on different poles from each other. One, a world that I was familiar with, the Wu-Tang Clan. One, I was vaguely aware of, but this project was important as far as getting me more into the band Wugazi in the form of the album 13 Chambers under the moniker Wugazi. Today, I'm going to be looking at the track listing, ranking the songs from least to most favorite, and telling you why. You guys are familiar with this show by this point, probably, hopefully, maybe. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, while I just finished praising Back Like That on my Fish Scale Redacted last week, the fusing of it with slow cross-stick the Wugazi jam leads to a more disjointed listen than anything else on the project. I think the verses are tight. I think Ghostface still rides the chopped up groove very well, but I feel like once the chorus hits, it doesn't quite mesh as well. I don't think Neo's vocals work over the louder guitars in the chopped up sample of that song. It's really the biggest outlier on this project as far as things not meshing, and I think that it's the sole biggest blemish on this project. And it even then doesn't completely falter. My eyes are sore, being ascended off behind closed doors and truth. And while I like Ghetto Afterthought for taking not only a Wugazi and a Wu-Tang affiliated jam and mashing them together, it takes a couple components and pulls them together in the form of Afterthought from Hits, with Ghost's verse from Special Delivery and ODB's verse from Ghetto Superstar. I think both verses mesh well together, and by the end of the song it feels more like a Wu-Tang Forever cut than it does something strictly from this mashup album. But I think the worlds do meet here amicably well. It's just not nearly to the caliber of what's above it. And I think I like this more than Slow Like That also because it brings a cut from a Wugazi album that isn't quite to the same caliber as like Red Medicine or In on the Kill Taker, and brings it together with some Wu greatness on its own. And this is the way we crash. Now, I'll be honest, part of the reason why this is ending up at this point in the list is because I feel like by the time this song comes up in the track listing, it is a moment where a lot of what this song has going on has just been showcased in great dazzlement across the runtime. There's nothing wrong with the fusing of Suggestion with Rec Room, and I like Inspector Deck here. He matches the pocket of what the chopped up drum samples allude to, and as far as making an experience that feels indicative of mashup culture, I feel like more so than a handful of other cuts on here, Kill a Hill really rides that line of what records like the Grey album did in their time. Again, just by the time it comes up in the track listing, I've already liked other versions of what this track has going on, even if it is still pretty good in its own regard. I love the evolving sample of the chopped up guitars from Last Chance for a Slow Dance on Last Dance for the Clientele Kid. I think it creates this evolving landscape that fits Raekwon, Fat Joe, and Ghostface respectively from Clientele Kid. I like the bass in the chorus, the chopped up bass loop for the chef callouts that happen. I love how snappy the drums also sound on that track, and I think that again, it evokes this atmosphere that brings a marriage to the sounds of Wugazi with the haziness. And I'll be honest, I feel like it kind of sets the stage better with its instrumental than what was happening on the original Lex Diamond story in particular in pockets. I like the way this sounds. That for being a late in the album cut still excites with how well it finds a way to fit each respective member's overall vibe. Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Give me
the mic so I could take
I love that this thing closes with Forensic Shimmy. It's a track that I'm sure many people knew was going to be on this, and I think that even though it does this evolving aggression as the song goes on, it matches the insanity of Shimmy Shimmy Ya so very well. I think the darkness within Forensic scene as well, with just the looping guitar that also stays the same, but just more intense, matches ODB's unhinged nature and creates this show-stopping closer for this album that I think comes together masterfully. The chopped up guitars from Facet Squared on PLO Squared actually give me memories of a different mashup album that I've also sang some of the praises of on here, Shit Computer, but I think that it does work really well to match and give a harsh juxtaposition to the smoothness from PLO Style by Method Man. A lot of the Method Man usage on Wugazi I think is done excellently well, and PLO Squared does a good job at giving you this, again, of its time mashup chopping up with the good pocket that Method Man rides. I love the drums that sit over the guitar, and again, I love the dissonance that the guitar creates as the track goes along.
I'm the one man army ain't showing. I never been cooking out.
While I'll talk about the dirty version of 36 Chambers a little bit more next week, I think putting Brooklyn Zoo from that track over the classic Fugazi jam Blueprint creates, similarly to PLO Squared, a good juxtaposition between the serious tone of that with the unhinged nature that is ODB. I think it creates a sincerity that becomes more accented when the chorus from Blueprint comes in and cuts through the mix with the guitars masterfully. I love the added drum loop to this as well, sort of interpolating the lead riff a little bit differently from Blueprint, and I think it creates, again, similarly to other good mashup tracks, a vibe all its own that just brings a marriage and enhances the original material tenfold.
Let's get it on, Arch, and watch the spot get blown. I be the sick lunatic.
Similarly to Forensic Shimmy, I really love that Nowhere to Wait does a good job at chopping up Waiting Room and helping it fit the darkness within the Gravediggers classic Nowhere to Run, Nowhere to Hide. I love that similarly to Last Dance for the Clientele Kid, it creates this evolving soundscape for each member of the Gravediggers to showcase their talents while matching their vibe. I love that the original track closes out comes in throughout the last moments of the song to sort of enhance the dark ruggedness that was just bestowed upon you. There's a really good use of each section of the leads throughout the original song as well, whether it's the wind up throughout the first verse, the harmonics throughout the intro sound great and haunting. I love that this also just gives the Gravediggers further love on this project because
Back in the ghetto with rain for 40 days. Hey, I like slain.
Suicide Surprise.
earlier in the record does a good job at chopping up 1-800 Suicide with No Surprise, while having this that starts off with this dark creepiness that enhances, similarly to Nowhere to Wait, before juxtaposing that with some real beauty and brightness by the end of the track, similarly to the juxtaposition on PLO Squared. I think that it's a really great evolution of a track, and I think that while the chorus may sound a little jerky, at least upon a first couple of listens, it's something that I really enjoy as the years have gone on, and I think that it's a track that grew on me from its original release and showed tone means everything when it comes to a track, because by the end of the song, I really love the harmonies that are in there and give this twist to such dark subject matter. The bong from Pink Frosty fits so well over Fugazi's Floating Boy, which the bass line from that fits Labels from Liquid Swords like a fucking glove. When the chopped up guitars also come in, that guitar loop just fits the vibe. I love how smooth this sounds and embodies a component of Wugazi that has kind of been talked about as far as matching a vibe, but I mean, dude, this sounds so liquid smooth, and a lot of my favorite moments just have this harmony that feels like it was made to be mashed up. And this is an example of that working so well, because all of it fits the smoothness of the Jizz's lyricism so eloquently that I just sinks me in the pocket every single time.
Oh, I'ma give it to you with no trivia. Roll like cocaine straight from
As far as a moment where it feels like both worlds are at their most well integrated, and it's not just like Wugazi instrumentals over Wu-Tang vocals, I'm talking like elements of the Wu-Tang instrumental with Wugazi over Wu-Tang verses, comes together almost at its peak on another chess boxing argument, where the mystery of chess boxing gets put over argument, but there's components of the chess boxing instrumental that come in and enhance the instrumental palette while creating a more unified marriage. Obviously, the 36 Chambers mashups are going to be some of the best amongst this, because while I like the solo stuff that was talked about, 36 Chambers is still like one of the greatest rap albums of all time. And I feel like the way that they made the smoothness from the argument sit below all the components here is incredible. The moments where they chop it up just hit so hardly. The evolution across it as well, the components that they use just fit like butter, fit like cream. I love the way it sounds. I love that the chorus still gets to come in and act as a sort of unifier to all of these hard-hitting verses. And fucking incredible. As far as like, again, that unity coming together full stop, it's at its peak here almost.
Check it, I'm the fucking man who the legend. Notice that other niggas rap styles is.
And even though it's not as deep as the chess boxing matchup, Sweet Release does a masterful job at melding Sweet and Low from In on the Kill Taker with Release Yo Del from Tikal. I love the way Method Man fits over these guitars. I love that the melody suits the initial core melody of Release Yo Del so really well. When the choir of girls comes in on the intro of the song, it just wraps me in every single time, and I'm hooked and ready to listen to this masterful mashup. I feel like with a lot of the highs on 13 Chambers, one of the things that I love is how well of a pocket the mashup artist created for the Wu-Tang acapellas with the Wugazi stuff, because the guitar groove on this track is just impeccable. The way that it kind of dances with Meth's verses in particular just sounds incredible, and it's easily the strongest solo mashup for that reason.
I grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side.
Similarly to doing some magic on another chess box in an argument with the 36 Chambers classic, Sleep Rules Everything Around Me is just one of the best showcases of this proof of concept. It takes a Wugazi song that's already pretty short and bare bones and melds it with one of the most important hip-hop songs ever made. I think that the juxtaposition of the imagery of being so tired and sleep ruling you because you're constantly at the grind because cash rules everything around you is a really good sentiment. It starts the project off, and I think it starts this Wugazi project off on the best foot. The pianos of I'm So Tired work incredibly well with the verses of Cream. The drum loop that they have atop of that also just fits. When Ian's vocals come in for the hook of I'm So Tired, it's just great. It's an incredible, again, showcasing of the proof of concept, and easily my favorite song on 13 Chambers as a whole. And that's my ranking of the track listing. Do you disagree? Do you not? Do you want to listen to Wugazi? Has me talking about it throughout this video enticed you to hear the project in full? Well, it's linked in the description. I highly recommend you check it out. Easily one of the best albums dropped in 2011, in my opinion. And a great melding, again, of two worlds that just fit so harmoniously together when done masterfully. If you did like this particular video, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. I drop 4 vids a week. Thank you again so very much for watching. I've been Viral Rack. You guys have a good day's lives and situations, and I'll see you another day.